Well, welcome back, everybody. It is great to see you guys, and this is going to be a different orientation this year. It's going to be very short and to the point. There's like a couple of things you have to remember if you want to stay in this building and go to school all year long. It's very important, okay? So I'm going to go over that real quick. I'm going to assume that you guys know the dress code. I'm going to assume that you guys know all those things, okay? And make sure we show up on the first day of school dressed appropriately and doing the things we need to do. I usually waste a good 20 minutes reminding you about that, and that's not happening this year. What I am going to remind you about is, number one, attendance, okay? There are people that may choose a totally online experience based on their comfort level with the health situations. You will be instructed via email to contact Ms. Sewell if that is the case, okay? If you're going to be here every day, then it's normal attendance stuff, normal rules, okay? And then those of you that may on your own or through your parents' wishes kind of do things in and out at times based on conditions here at school. We will inform you of that process and how to make sure that, but what it comes down to, guys, is communicating with your teachers and your counselors. You cannot under-communicate if you fall into that hybrid section where you know you're here and then there's a positive test and your parents want you to stay home and back and forth. So it is of the utmost importance if you want to succeed here at Juan Diego to communicate with your teachers like you never have before. Okay, so that's a huge emphasis. We'll give you details on how to go about those declarations. Uniform, I talked about it. Handbook sign-off is going to happen in one of the sessions. Do not leave here today without signing off on your handbook. Okay, that is just something. A week into school, I'm going to have to call you down to the auditorium. We're going to have to go through this stupid routine where you call your parents and blah, blah, blah. And so your handbook sign-off is there. Make sure your parents do theirs as well. Otherwise, it's going to put you next Friday in the auditorium with me staring at each other trying to get a hold of your parents. It's always a good time. The main thing, guys, there's a 100-page manual put out by the state and the Salt Lake County Health Department regarding the reopening of schools. I'm going to ask you to remember one thing. There are two people that are the point of contact, the POC, for all private schools, including Juan Diego here in the Valley. Their names are Ron Lund and Mary Hill. Every time there is a positive test or anything that's went on this summer, they call me or I call them and they give me instructions on what to do. Doesn't matter what your personal opinion is. It doesn't matter what your political opinions are. What matters is if we want to stay open, Ron and Mary are the ones that will make that decision every week, okay? And I told them, I said, I need to tell my students one concrete thing. We can't prevent COVID, guys, okay? But we can mitigate it. And I told them to give me one instruction to tell my students if we want to stay open and have kids in this building and continue with activities and sports. And they said, anytime they are in a building or they are outdoors in big groups, they must wear their masks at all times, and we will be less apt to quarantine them. Okay, so wearing a mask is nose and mouth. This isn't it. That's not it. And it's not going to be punitive, guys. You're not going to get detention. You're going to get reminded numerous times if you're not having, and I do it too. I go walking out of my office and forget my mask. I got to go back and get it. So we're going to be patient with that to a point. But if you are a person that consistently does not do what we ask you to do with your mask, I'm going to ask you to go all virtual online because you're putting our ability to be in person here at school at risk by not following that one simple rule. So when I ask you guys in a rhetorical way, what's the one thing you can do? Mask up, okay? I won't use the Utah mantra, be mask up JD. You can wear any color, comfort type of mask, but what it has to do is cover your nose and your mouth. Okay, we prefer the 6-color rule. As a matter of fact, we're gonna kind of as a fun way give you guys masks throughout the year. Okay, I think we get one at orientation maybe, whatever, but we'll give you some, but wear whatever's comfortable. And if you have circumstances where you can't breathe and do things in masks, you have to look at it as a high-risk situation and possibly doing the virtual with it. Because the smaller the room gets, meaning classrooms, the more important the masks are. I went through scenario after scenario with Ron and Mary, the health department people, and I said, what if Kevin or somebody tests in this class and they've transitioned and they're going to ask me every person and they're going to ask me to verify through teachers which kids weren't wearing their masks appropriately and you're going to be quarantined for 14 days. okay? But if you have your mask on, and that means sports, everything, whether you're showing symptoms or not, okay? So just one thing to remember, mask up, nose and mouth. That's the commandment for right now. Okay, now we need to get into Mr. Browning and get you guys hooked up. So grab your devices, and I will turn it over to Mr. Browning if he wants to take that fresh mic right there.
Here, Nate's going to talk first, Mr. Attack.
All right, so parking and driving policies don't change this year. You're all seniors, so you now get to park in the south lot. You still have to have a permit, still $10. The link will be sent out to you via email. I don't really think there's any changes or anything new for any of you, so pay attention to that. Today you're going to learn a lot about entrances and exits and what that looks like. So be mindful of that. You are allowed to park in the west lot as a senior still if you would like, up to you all, and still no parking in the faculty lot in B. So that's the only thing I have for you all. I will give it back to Ms. Browning.
That's what it looked like without the mask. All right. Okay, no more chargers are for loan this year. Last year we had about 30 chargers. I only have 2 left. So if you have something to charge, you bring it to that bottom shelf. I have about a dozen different chargers there. I've got the old and new Apple magnetic chargers, the universal USB-C charger, that's that little oval charger. Acer Chromebooks, HP Chromebook and laptops, Dell laptops, and a Samsung Chromebook charger, okay? If you don't have one of those, I really highly suggest, which is what we told you last year, go buy a second charger, leave it in your backpack. That way you have a charger with you and you have a charger at home, okay? There should be no excuses for you guys not having your devices charged, especially this year, because we're doing a lot of simultaneous work in class. So kids will be home, some of you will be here. The top half is where I have Chromebooks. I have more this year. We have, I believe, 11. So when you take one from there, write your name on the board next to the number that's on the bottom of the Chromebook, okay? Then when you bring it back, plug it in, take your name off the whiteboard. Not rocket science, really easy, okay? Okay, that's your password sheet. And you guys are seniors, you know this, right? Everything on campus is your username and password. That's the thing on the right. Anything that is Google, everything that's Google, email address and password is how you log in. So when you log into Canvas this year, instead of Moodle, which is the same basic thing, it's a virtual classroom, you're gonna use your regular username and password on the right, okay? All right, so those of you with Macs, get them out and pop onto Wi-Fi. All right, so PC people, we did have a little bit more issues. You might need to forget the network if it doesn't let you in. We had to change our encryption certificate this year. So when that happens, we usually have to forget the network. The Macs will ask you to trust again. But on PCs, if you're having problems and won't let you in, you can right-click on that blue area right there and click on forget, and then click on connect again, and then enter your name and password. It'll ask you to verify it. It'll say continue. You click continue, and then you should be able to get on. All right, Chromebooks, same kind of thing. Click on SCC Wireless. And then if it gives you a question over here on the side, it's PEEP for EAT method, automatic, and then the server CA certificate, it's do not check. So PEEP, automatic, do not check. So PEEP, automatic, do not check for Chromebooks. That's all Chromebooks, they're all like that. So this is a little bit easier for the new students. If you're a new student, a little bit more explanation on the PEEP, automatic, do not check, or your username and password. Nobody's confused by that. Let's go on to the next slide, please. Okay, Malwarebytes is free. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it. I can't tell you how many students last year I had to clean up their devices for them. It takes a lot of time from me, it takes a lot of time from you. Let's just not go there, okay? Malwarebytes is a free malware program. It'll nag you for 30 days to buy it. You can buy it, which makes everything auto magic. Or you can just kind of put up that warning for 30 days and then just run it like once a week, okay? It's for Macs and it is for PCs. It is not for Chromebooks, okay? So really try to keep your devices clean, because when your devices are not clean, they do weird things. They try to take you to sites you're not supposed to go to. They try to send requests where they're not supposed to go to because they're spying on your traffic.
just install something. I highly recommend this, but if your parents want to put Norton on there or AVG or whatever, fine. You're not allowed to use VPNs on campus because that's a way to circumvent the filter, okay? I'm aware of everything you guys try to do, okay? I know exactly who's on Wi-Fi. I know where you are. You know, I am Big Brother, okay, when it comes to being on Wi-Fi on campus. Don't make me use the power, okay? Don't make Salts have me track you down and find you, because really, just keep it clean, keep your devices in order, just make it easy on us this year, okay? Also, please don't attach your phones to the Wi-Fi this year, okay? I know it's tempting. You know, you don't need your phone in class, okay? Phones are only going to add to the Wi-Fi load, and because it's going to be a rather Wi-Fi heavy year, just try to keep your phones off Wi-Fi, okay? If you are still unable or you still have computer questions or problems, I'm here to help you, okay? I know I tried to scare you with the Big Brother thing. I'm here to help you. You need to come to my office, B101 in the computer lab. I will help you guys with anything you have. If you break your device, I'll try to help you find places to repair it. The only devices we kind of repair on campus are our own, and then we also try to help you guys repair your own Chromebooks. You know, we can help you order the right part, and then Matt is going to be working with us this year, throughout the year, part-time. He will be able to show you, especially on the Chromebooks, how to fix those, okay?
Alrighty, so today there are 6 different rotations that you're going to go through. Counselors, we are switching to Canvas from Moodle this year, so you're going to talk a little bit about that, handbook sign-off, some other tech things. Condition reports, you're going to get your textbooks and your class schedule. And then we're going to talk about what lunch and reading protocol looks like, as well as classroom and morning protocol. There's kind of a huge shift. Your 4th period class will no longer be tied to lunch. Okay? Every student's mentor group is tied to a lunch period. You will have every student in 1 day will have 2 first periods, 2 first lunch days, and 2 second lunch days. Okay? They will be associated with an A, B, C, or D, and it's based on your mentor group. So the entire mentor group will be together for lunch. You do not have to sit with your mentor group, but it is based off mentor groups. Okay? So on your schedule, when you get your schedule, when you go out to the library, you will see what your lunches are. Stamps, yours are all over the place. I could look at yours, but I don't know what this is off the top of my head. But basically, on A day and C day, you'll have first lunch, and on B day and D day, you'll have second lunch. The other thing to know is that lunch has been moved forward. Lunch and reading start at 11. So, first lunch is at 11, second lunch is at like 11:40. So technically, second lunch is the same time as old first lunch used to be. Okay? So don't feel like you're getting pushed back and you're going to freak out, you're going to start with that while you're at school this year. You'll be just fine. Okay? How Stanford is really important that you know what I'm talking about when we get to your groups during orientation for your underclassmen. You're going to need help with this process. Okay? What this looks like is when the 3rd period ends, half of the student body will go to reading, and half of the student body will go to lunch. All of our movement through the hallway is calculated this year. The main 2 hallways that go from the middle school all the way down to the cafeteria are directional during passing period, before school, and after school. If you are upstairs, you are traveling north towards the middle school. So once you go up those steps there, that is an entirely north hallway. You cannot go the other direction of it. And downstairs is traveling south, coming back towards the lunchroom. That is in force before school, after school, and during passing periods. So let's say you're in Mr. Lee's classroom upstairs, and you use the restroom in the middle of class. You can go the other way on the hallway if it's not during passing period, before school, or after school. But before school, after school, and during passing period, you will travel direction in that main hallway. The reason why is all of our students need to be moving in the same direction in those major thoroughfares to help avoid passing students and whatnot. Additionally, you'll have your mask on the entire time that you're in the hallway. Okay? So there's no taking your mask off during that time, during any of our passing periods. When we break for 3rd period, Depending on what day it is and what lunch you have, you will come down this way. You'll move into the auditorium if you're going to reading, and if you're not going to reading, you're going to go to lunch. Traditionally, you would all start running towards the cafeteria, correct? Like a mass herd, especially if you're a freshman. That will not happen. Every student will come down that academic hallway. They will go around the auditorium and line up behind the auditorium for lunch. Recognize that you are all rolling your eyes at this, and I understand that this may be frustrating or it takes more time and all these things. We know that. We have no real choice to allow this to happen. To effectively move the student body through the hallway and keep it in some semblance of order, we have to do that. So all students will come down these hallways and start going down this hallway and out to the Great Hall. If you're going to reading, you will come right into reading. The entrance doors for reading is this door, that door, that door, or that door. The exit doors for reading are that door, and the two side doors over here. Okay? This is where the bar equipment comes in handy. You have to wear this all day, every day. You cannot enter the building without this. You will not be able to buy lunch without this. You will not be able to enter reading without this. And you will not be able to get a lunch table without this. I know that sounds imposing, but this is the key to allowing you to move freely through the building. The alternative option was to assign your lunch tables, and I don't think any of you wanted me assigning you a lunch table for the rest of the year. So, continuing on with reading. If you're going to reading first, you'll come in these doors, and you'll find your reading seat. It is going to be a little weird, because only half of you will be in here at a time. But we are not going to use the entire auditorium where half of you are in here. You will still have only half the seats. The reason why is when we switch, the next group will take the other half of the seats that were not used, and we don't have the time in between there to fully move through and clean off all the seats that you were sitting in. So we will only be using half the seats. So no one else will be sitting in your reading seat during reading. So if you're in reading 2, no one during reading 1 sat in your reading seat. Okay? And that's something that you should be glad that you know that. Additionally, at all 4 of these doors, when you come in, they are going to scan your ID. That's how you get attendance for reading. So, all those doors, you will get your ID scanned when you come to reading, okay? In addition, you will now bring your backpack into the auditorium. You will not set your backpack down anywhere in the hallway for any reason at any time. Your backpack is to stay with you the entire day. Once you leave the auditorium for lunch, there's a line that will form along the back wall back here that will be a taped off spot, and you'll stand in line. While you're in line the entire time, when you're moving to lunch, you have to have your mask on. The entire time that you move through the cafeteria, you have to have your mask on. There's no opportunity in between that from when you leave reading through till when you get your food, check out, and sit down, that your mask comes off. Okay? You'll line up. The cafeteria has been relaid out again. Instead of going down the middle and out the outside, you're going to start on one side of the horseshoe, and you will go down and around the horseshoe and out the other side. The middle will be completely empty. There will be drink coolers down the middle there, okay? All of you kind of travel around that horseshoe and out. You will no longer use the biometric reader. This is how you will purchase your lunch, okay? This process has sped up lunch quite significantly. In addition, there are some changes to the lunch program. We have done everything in our power with the health department to offer as much as we possibly can. Our lunch program will still offer a full hot lunch variety. The only major change that you're going to notice is obviously people with masks and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll have to sanitize before you go into the cafeteria. The salad bar will no longer be self-service. There will be 3 people stationed at the salad bar, staff members on one side. It has been moved, and you will be able to still get everything that was there. You'll just have to move through that process, okay? So we are trying as best as we possibly can to do everything that we've normally done, because we recognize that, like, we don't want this to be a miserable experience, but there are certain things we don't have a choice about, okay? Once you get through the cafeteria and you sit down, the cafeteria will be divided in, like, to thirds, basically. 1/3 of that cafeteria chunk over by the windows and up by those west doors will not be available to sit at. That would be the middle school space the entire year. Okay? We will have that kind of blocked off. You'll see what that looks like on the first day when we do a walkthrough. The first 2 days of school are actually a 12:30 dismissal, so we are not going to be doing lunch the first 2 days. We are going to be walking through kind of what everything's going to look like. That portion of the cafeteria will be blocked off. You will be allowed to sit in the remaining portion of the cafeteria, the portion of the hallway down behind the auditorium, the outside patio space, as well as outside of student government and potentially into the plaza out there. What you need to know is that we are working on finding socially distanced spaces to teach you all that. This is the biggest change. There can only be 6 of you at each round table. Each round table also will get a plexiglass divider placed in the middle of it. And there will be 6 openings. Once you pick a table for the day, you have to stay at that table. This is the other part of the lunch process that is different. You will sit down. Someone will come around, a staff member, and they will scan your table. Every table has a number associated with it, and they will scan the IDs of the students who are sitting at that table. We have to be able to, if we are not going to assign you seats, provide to the health department at their request data on where all of you sat and ate lunch today. So, I understand that this seems invasive in process, but this is the key to allowing you to have some more freedom around your lunch period, okay? Otherwise, it would not be fun to sit in the assigned table every day. So, once you take your seat, someone will come around and scan the table and scan all 6 of the students who are sitting there. It doesn't have to be a process that's intensive, just have your ID card out and someone can scan it quickly. Don't make this hard on the staff members who are scanning IDs, okay? That is part of the reason why it's important that you have this, so that we can associate and track that movement throughout lunch. When lunch is over, and let's say you had first lunch, and you have to go to reading next, we will basically dismiss students from their tables at lunch, and you will move down this hallway in the Great Hall, and you will kind of wait. There will be spaces for you to wait with your mentor group, and from there, you will wait until we push these students out of the auditorium, and then you will start going into the auditorium, okay? It is going to be a little bit like calculated in terms of our movement of students, but recognize that that helps support all the things that we're doing and make it as safe as possible for you guys to do this with. That's pretty much your lunch and reading protocol. Stamps, you will learn about your assigned seats when you go to your sophomore or freshman mentor orientation with your students. You'll kind of figure out where you're sitting. These are going to be your seats for the year. You'll have to take an assigned seat basically from that point, which you'll sit in the same seat all year long, okay? You can sit closer or further. There's just a limited number of seats we can do at one exactly what you want, okay? If you forget this, you have to pick up a new one in student services. The first time, it's free. The second time, there's a charge to it. Don't lose this. You're also going to get 2 ultimately. So you'll get this one from now until picture day happens. And then once picture day happens, they'll give you another one. And you'll have 2 ID cards. You'll have 2 options. If you lose both of those ID cards and you need a replacement, the first replacement is free. The 4th ID card, if you've gone through that many, we're going to charge you for a 4th ID card, okay? You'll have to carry this with you and wear it, okay? That's the process for this year, okay?
So, I think most of you know. If you don't, you should know us. But this is Mrs. Jordan, and she has all the freshies. So she has all the freshman class. And Mrs. Redican has A through L, with the exception of a few students. And I have M through C, with the exception of a few students. And so, if you have not ever seen your counselor before, you should know who she is now, because we're going to be a huge help to you during this year of getting ready for graduation and college and career and all of that stuff. One of the first things I just want to cover is the whole electronic venue that we're in right now. You guys are going to move to Canvas instead of Google Classroom and Moodle, and so that will be kind of a new thing for you to get used to. But Power School remains the same, and so you do need to get into your Power School account, which you can't do right now anyway, it's locked. But as soon as you can get into your Power School account, you're going to want to know what your grades are, what assignments you might have missed, what your attendance looks like, what, who you know, your teachers. You guys know all about Power School, and so you're going to want to use it. The teachers are going to do their best to try to keep everything updated in Power School so that it's the most current grade possible. If you have a problem with that, and say a teacher hasn't put anything in for you for like weeks and weeks, or days and days, and you think it should be done, please contact one of us so that we can help you get that taken care of, okay? You need to know where you are at all times, especially senior year. You will also need to check your email all the time. Check it in the morning, check it at lunch, check it in the evening. Mrs. Redican and I are sending things out like crazy during this first senior year. So I have already been sending things out for the summer. How many of you guys have received some of my emails? Oh, good. That means some of you are reading. Thank you. You would be surprised about, we send that out in an email. Oh, I didn't check it. Okay, but you're going to want to check it. You're going to want to be on top of your emails. And that's going to be super important. And also, as you'll see in a slide coming forward, if there's a problem with your schedule, you're going to be solving it with us via email first. And then if you need an appointment, then we can meet with you in an appointment. But we're going to be trying to do as much of it electronically as possible. Okay? So email's important, passwords, and Power School, and I think your new passwords come on your new schedule, or oh, you have them.
When do we get our schedule?
When you go to the library, whatever rotation that is. The very end. Okay. NAVIANCE is also going to be your best friend this year. If you have any inclination of going to college from here, those colleges need to be listed in NAVIANCE as ones you're applying to. So we didn't have a chance to work with a lot of you during Q4, which we would have, building resumes, putting colleges in there. So we're going to do some catch up with you guys right away. Not ketchup like you put on French fries, but catching you up. Thank you, you giggles. All right, so NAVIANCE is where you're going to list your colleges. We're going to help you do resume building in there. That's where letters of recommendation get uploaded. It's how we transmit your transcripts to colleges. It's like all purpose. So also, if you apply for a school that's a Common App school, then you will need to have letters of recommendation, and you'll need to have an essay. And we are going to help you start with the essays first thing. That's one of the very first things that we do. We'll be working with you in your English classes, and Mrs. Sewell will be helping you this year to proofread your first drafts. And then we are always willing to be involved. In the past, we've always read them and sent them back to you for edits, and then you give it to your English teacher for a grade. Even if you're not planning to apply to college, or you're going to a college that doesn't require an essay, you should know how to write a good essay. Okay, so if you have a Common App account, it's over here, and it's like it's the groom. And then over here you have NAVIANCE, which has all the information about your colleges and your letters and all of that stuff. And then you have to get them married. So you marry the groom to the bride. I think I went wrong. You marry the groom and the bride, and then they can talk with each other. Okay, so you have to, if you do a Common App, it has to be matched in NAVIANCE, and we'll walk you through that. But just so that you know, there's a lot of students that forget about putting their colleges in NAVIANCE, and then they ask us to send a transcript. That's how we do it, is in NAVIANCE. So. Okay. Also, while I'm on this slide, if you're thinking of going to a college that's going to require a letter of recommendation, I suggest that you ask for it now, so that they can start they have plenty of time to prepare before your deadlines come. Okay, X2O. Raise your hands if you guys have already put some hours at some point in time into X2O. Excellent. Okay, very, very good. So if you have not, you're gonna want to do it. I know that Q4 was kind of crazy and the summer was kind of crazy, but if you did something over the summer, probably not a service mission, which a lot of you might signed up for, but maybe you did some local service. Maybe you helped create meals for people in your neighborhood that couldn't get out and that didn't get out. Maybe you mowed some lawns for people in your neighborhood that are elderly and can't get out. So there are things that you could have done this summer. If you did them, then count them. Anything from June 1st through May 31st next year will count toward your hours. And then also in January, we normally would have a senior service week. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but you'll probably have 40 hours. I hope that we will pair with agencies that will allow you to come be in their buildings and be able to get that experience of helping those guys. So, okay. Christian service hours, so it's something that you're not getting paid for, obviously. If you have not done that yet, then just email and I'll send you some instructions on how to get those things into XGBall. Okay. So on your last round, when you go get your schedules, the very first thing that gets priority for any kind of changes or edits are going to be holds. So the holds get filled first. New to JD students get priority so that we can give them a full schedule. And then the class sizes are really restricted. So I'm just going to let you know right now, once you get your schedule, if it's not exactly what you asked for, there's probably not going to be a lot of movement. And I know that might be disappointing. The other thing is that there won't be any TAs this year. There won't be any TIs this year. There will be some students placed in Campus Life Aid. That will be with Mr. Tack, and it will be in student services, and you won't be in the halls or going to those classrooms. Does that make sense? And that's the reason why, is because of class sizes and an extra person kind of walking around, then going to the teacher's classrooms. So if you put TA on your schedule and you already had someone that agreed to take you, it probably got changed to either Campus Life 8 or a different class. So on your alternates, you probably ended up with an alternate. And there have been some rumblings from the teachers that they still want to try to do it and their classes are low. So that'll have to go through Dr. and Mr. Colosimo and Mr. Tack, Mr. Benetti, to those exceptions. Okay, so once you find a hole, if you find a hole in your schedule, so you guys all know how the schedule goes. So every Monday will be an A-day forever through the year. A B-day will always be on Tuesday. Then you'll have a flex day on Wednesday. So Wednesday will be a flex day, which means that you will be at home doing virtual learning. Your teachers will all assign you something during that day that you will be responsible for. It doesn't mean that you can't come to campus. You can still come to campus, it just won't be in a class. And so you can meet in small groups if you need to, in the commons, using social distancing, in the library, using social distancing, and so on. So you could come to campus to study, but because we'll be here and the building will be open. If there's a holiday on Monday, you'll miss which day, guys? A-day. A-day, correct. Yes. There will be a learning center. Thank you for that. Mrs. Gilbert will be running the learning center, but it will be extremely strict on qualifying to get in there. So, anybody know what the qualifications are to have a learning center? 3 APs. 3 APs. Okay, so there might be some exceptions. So if someone needs a special support class or whatever, they might get an extra learning center. If they're going to be off campus, they might get an extra learning center. But you'll still be required to work. Mrs. Gilbert is wonderful, and she will be firm but kind. So plan on, if you have a learning center, to be in there working during that time. We have tried this so many different ways, but Mrs. Redican and I I can't tell you how many times we have told students, you cannot have an F as a senior. So this slide says, how to guarantee that you will not graduate. If you do not want to graduate, then get an F senior year. And then you will not be graduating. If you end up with an F, first semester, you will be on contract with Dr. Colosimo and your counselor to make it up during second semester. And that sometimes is going to be hard, but it goes for every class, whether it's a PE class or a ceramics class. Even if you've taken the class before, you cannot have an F and graduate from Juan Diego as a senior. Okay, so the other way is if you have outside credits that you're doing, so maybe you're taking American Sign Language from BYU, and you need your language credit to be billed, that needs to be done by December 15th. So we cannot go into second semester with any outstanding credits, but they go in your schedule, because we want to make sure everyone graduates. So that's why you really need to be on top of PowerSchool and your emails. Your teachers are your best resource for how can I make this up. And some of you might have received incompletes from quarter 4. If you failed in class, it's not an F, it turned to an incomplete, and you do have time to make it up. So you need to get with that previous teacher. If they are no longer here, get with the department head and find out how you can turn that I into a grade. Otherwise, it's going to go to an F. And you don't want to do that.
Okay, so pull out your computer. Go to JDCHS.org. Once you're on the main webpage, scroll down a little bit. You'll find the blue box that says Current Parents and Students. Okay, so we went to JDCHS.org. Click on the blue box, Current Parents and Students. And then go to My JD, click the arrow in the bottom right-hand corner under the My JD. Log in with your JD username and JD password. Your new one should work. If the new one on your computer user agreement does not work, try your one from last year. There will be 2 boxes that sign off the handbook sign off. So click on the handbook sign off. You'll have to do a little check. And then click the submit at the bottom. And then the same thing for blended learning. And now once you do this, you can also help your parents when they're trying to sign off too, if they're confused. Okay, so Remind. Did everyone use Remind last year? No?
Barely.
Okay, so if you set up your account last year, it should still work for this year. So go to remind.com. If you did not set up an account last year, follow these instructions to create an account with your Juan Diego Gmail. I would use the same password as your Juan Diego account. Select that you are a student. Download Remind on your phone. And make sure you change your settings so you get push notifications. You can always, I guess, create a new one if you find that nothing's working. Look, here's the code for seniors. If you haven't joined the Remind group, JD Class 21. Okay, so Canvas, I'm sure you've all heard Juan Diego's moving to Canvas this year instead of Moodle or Google Classroom. So apparently, according to Mr. Yule, which Canvas is just the nicer version of Moodle. Okay. Your teachers will tell you your login and password during the first week of school. Your parents will also be invited to join your Canvas account as an observer. Oh, I know, scary. Yikes! Communication with your teachers will still be through Gmail, not through Canvas. However, teachers will still be utilizing the announcement platform within Canvas, and you can link those to be sent to your Gmail. So digital responsibility this year, make sure there's accountable talk and behavior in discussion forums, especially online. People want to get a little nutty. Cell phone policy is the same this year. Bring your device charged every day. You may want to bring headphones to class every day. And it is your responsibility to become proficient in Canvas. Your teacher will help you and train you, but if we have to go back to online only, we want you to be ready and prepared. Contact Mrs. Finkhauser if you need any help. There's her email address. She should be able to work out any bugs that you have.
When you get here in the morning, okay, when you get here in the morning, this is the door you're going to enter through. The west doors will be open for a little bit of time, but we want to save that mainly for the juniors and the sophomores that park over there. For you guys, this is where you will enter every morning, okay? I need you to keep in mind, this is also where freshmen will be dropped off, and even some of the middle school kids will be dropped off. Okay, so this entrance is going to be pretty busy. So imagine if all 700 students in the school tried to come through here at one time, okay, after just going through what happened this morning, okay? So when you get here, what we're asking you to do is if there's not a line, jump out of your car and get in here and get through the process and go straight to your class, okay? If there is a line, stay in your car and wait it out for a minute, okay? We are not giving you a pass to be tardy, okay? So understand that's not what I'm saying here. I know how you guys think. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, if there's a line, let the line. I mean, we don't want to wrap 700 students all the way around the whole school. Make sense? Okay. All right. When you come up to the doors, you're going to be asked about the fever, the chills, the dry cough, right? Shortness of breath, all that stuff. And then you're going to be allowed to come in here, right? What we're asking you to do is a self-evaluation. Okay, every single day. In the past 24 hours, have you had signs or symptoms of fever, chills, sweats, feeling feverish, having a temperature that's over 100.4? Okay, if the answer is no, then step 2 is, or actually if the answer is yes and it's gotten worse, then you stay home. Right? Make sense? Okay. Also, we want you to ask yourself, in the last 14 days, have you traveled outside the United States, been in contact with anybody that has been confirmed COVID, right? And then, or if you've been notified that you've been exposed, right? If the answer to that's yes, then you probably should stay home, okay? So you do a self-evaluation, right? So far so good, right? So then you come in here, you guys have your little barcodes, your student ID. Your student ID, I don't know if they mentioned it in there, but your student ID gets worn all day long. Okay, all day long. Because throughout the school, we have the scanners. Okay, when you go into reading, when you get your lunch, when you come in these doors, okay, and throughout the day, you're going to be scanned. So you have to have your barcode, okay? So we need to keep track. The reason why is we need to keep track of who is in the school and where, in case we do have an outbreak. Right? Does that make sense? You guys all cool with that? Okay. Later on in the year, I think after pictures, you guys will get a permanent one. And what's the deal with that?
Yep. After picture day, you'll get a permanent one just like these. It'll have your picture that you're taking and along with your barcode. So these are just temporary, but it'll be nice to have a backup in case you ever lose this one. We're going to make you each one more, and you'll get that one for free. But if during the school year you lose these and we have to make you more in student services, it's a $5 charge. Okay, so just wear them. That's the easiest thing. Just put it on.
Okay. All right. So after you come through here, you've self-evaluated, you've been scanned in, you now go get your temperature taken. All right. If everything still works out, you're good to go, then you go straight to your first class. And no more hanging out. Unfortunately, we have to give a little bit here, and that's the one thing we can't have is everybody just kind of gathering in these little groups. Okay, so you have to go straight to your first class. All right, everybody clear on that? All right. If you do not pass this portion, it's not doom and gloom. Right, we're not sending you home. We'll have you sit down. We'll send you home if the answer to this is yes, and then you don't pass. That's an automatic, right? But we're going to have you sit down here. Every 10 minutes, up to 30 minutes, we're going to take your temperature again. All right, because sometimes you're hot from just being outside or whatever. If it's going down and it gets down underneath the threshold, we'll let you stay and continue on. If not, then after 30 minutes, we'll ask you to go home. Okay? The good thing is you still can go home and do classwork. Everything will be online. All right? Okay, so now 8:15 happens, right? I mean, we're now, everybody's in school. Some of you are going to be late. There's a few of you that I know will be late a lot because of history. All right, so what now happens after 8:15?
I'm Mrs. Slick. I work now in student services with Mrs. Soto. I started 4 days before this all hit in March, so I've met some of you, but some of you haven't. So the big change is going to be student services is still there, but when you come in late during the day, if you have a doctor's appointment, orthodontist appointment, that type of thing, instead of going to student services there to check in, we're having a desk here that's permanent. So we're having like 2 student services now. So right where you're all standing is going to be our new desk, but we're going to have the check-in and the check-out computers here. So when you come in late, we'll get your tardy slips here, send you to class. We'll get you the computers to check in and check out. Same thing during the day. If you have to leave early, you're going to come here, not to the main student services. You're coming to the south door. Okay? Something else to tell is if your parents have to come for any reason, this is our only way in or out. No more bell tower doors, and we'll tell the parents that too. But we're going to check you in and out here. Doors are locked, we'll beep you in. So instead of going there, you're going to stop here for us. Okay? So 2 student services now. That one and then this one as well. Mrs. Soto and I will be down here. Mr. Larson will be down here. And one of the ladies from admin will all be here. So you should be able to take care of everything you need from student services here. The only other thing I want to talk to you guys about is car passes. You know how you can check out during the day, run out to your car for something? That's not happening anymore. So when you come in these doors, make sure you have everything for the day. Because we're not going to let you go in, out, get something in your car, come back in. That's no more. Okay? So tardy passes, checking in, checking out, everything is going to be right in this area. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. When you check out for sports, same thing. Volleyball, everybody football, you're checking out through here. So think of this as student services too.
But after school, we leave you any dollars.
Mask up.
No lockers. Yeah, no lockers will be allowed in your car.
First thing to notice is that we're going to have a 10-minute passing period between classes this year. So it's going to give extra time. But I also want to let you know what's going to be happening during that 10-minute period. Initially, when you guys leave the classroom, the teacher is going to have to take these wipes and wipe down every desk and every chair. When we get enough supply of this spray stuff, which we've ordered, at the end of each class, the teacher's going to go up and down the rows, spray the tables, the tabletops, and spray the chairs. And then when you come into a classroom, you're going to get a paper towel, go to your desk, wipe yourself off, wipe the table off and the chair off, and then you'll be set to go, okay? Now, the big thing that we're talking about here is mitigation. You probably have heard mitigation on the news and stuff. We're doing everything we can to keep anybody from being able to get sick, okay? So the staff here is going to be really deep cleaning the restrooms 3 times a day, which is going to be a good thing. And then you notice too that on the weekends and on Wednesdays, one of the reasons we're going to do the Wednesday flexible day is we really want our staff to be able to do a deep cleaning of all the classrooms and all the restrooms at least twice a week, okay? So this is stuff that we want your parents to know, we want you to know, because we really do not want anybody to really get sick, okay? So the other thing is that in a school, there's rules and regulations on how quickly or how often that the airflow has to change. And it's to try to keep you awake and keep you alert so you actually learn. But what we've done is we've ramped that up a little bit. So we're going to be changing the air more often in the classroom. And then about 15 times throughout the entire day, we're going to bring in outside air as well. So if you're in a classroom, like right now, everything's freezing cold, right? My hands are like ice right now because every place in the building is so cold. But you may find in the middle of a class, all of a sudden it starts to feel warm because they're transitioning to getting that outside clean air in to get into the system so we can change it over, okay? So those are really the big points that I had. If you don't know who I am, my name is Coach Moran. I coach the swimming team here, and I'm also the public relations person. Then I do all the contracting for all the outside groups that come in and use the facility outside of our own school kids, okay?
Good news and bad news. Good news, you just got your last high school schedule. Congratulations. The bad news is you're probably gonna have to pay for textbooks next year. That they don't come free in college. So what we're gonna do right now, make sure you got the right books and then check on their condition. You'll need your devices. First thing you'll do is go to your library account on this desk page. Okay, once you're done, once you're on this, on your library account, you're gonna check barcodes. Okay, once you're there, just gonna compare barcodes. Okay, this code is also on your blue page, and that'll get you to the condition form.
But isn't this wrong?
Once you get to the end of the condition reports, this is the final screen you should see. This means you're done. I can go back to any of the previous slides if you need it.
I closed that.
Okay, last slide. If you do drop a class, please remember to turn in the book. Do it that day. Take it out of the trunk of your car and turn it in that day. Because when you go to graduate in May, they're still going to be looking for that book. So if you drop a class next week, turn the book in that day. Okay? Thanks.